Today's gospel reading comes out of the 12th chapter of Mark, verses 28 to 34. In biblical circles, this gospel reading is known as the gospel of love, because what Jesus offers all of us tonight are two new commandments. Now, these commandments are not to be confused with the commandments of the Old Testament, the Decalogue, the Ten Commandments, as recorded in the book of Exodus and Deuteronomy. These are the New Testament commandments. Let's take a look at these two important commandments. Let's take a look at verse 28 to 31. Again, as I said, the 12th chapter of Mark. It says that one of the scribes came to Jesus and asked him, which is the first of all the commandments? Jesus replied, the first of this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Now, when you take a look at those two commandments, and the first one's obviously longer than the second, the first one really shows us how we're going to love God, and the second one is how we shall love ourselves. And the first one gives a beautiful description how we shall love God. We shall love God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our mind, and with all of our strength. But what I really want to do this evening is spend a little more time on the second commandment, because that is extremely important. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the second commandment out of this combination and just show you the second commandment all by itself. The second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. And just take a look at, there's that commandment. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now that should come with a warning label. Think about what that commandment says. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now that seems like a really good idea if you love yourself. In proportion, the amount of love you have for yourself is the amount of love you can have for your neighbor. So if you have respect for yourself, self-esteem for yourself, you love yourself, you're going to be able to do the same thing for your neighbor. The converse is true. If you don't love yourself, and you don't have that sense of self-worth and self-value and self-integrity, then you're not going to value your neighbor. Psychologists say when someone hurts someone else, why do they do that? When you watch TV at night and you're reading the paper and you're watching something online and you see all these stories, you read all these stories about someone just hurt someone else. Why? Why is that done? Why do other people hurt people? The answer is not 100% ironclad, but this is going to be in the vast majority of cases. When someone hurts someone else, they do so because they hurt. They don't like who they are. They're angry and upset with themselves, so they lash out and they hurt someone else. You know, Martin Luther King once said that the darkness cannot be gotten rid of by darkness, but only light. And hatred cannot be dispelled by hatred, but only love. And so in this world, when we're watching all these stories about those who hate, what we got to realize is what this video is going to show us. Just take a look at this video, because I think it speaks volumes on how we should treat each other.
So this is me. My name is Arabelle. This is a true account of an experience that I had while shooting a video in Central Park. I was part of a group of strangers brought together to discuss civility and kindness.
We're all on the same team.
I mean, people can be so cruel. Not feel judged. They'll let me have
all
it.
sorts of discrimination going on.
That's what you learn when you go to another place.
How should people?
Treat people the way you want to be treated.
We were split into pairs and we all began discussing the various subjects. I see everybody equal, whether they're young, old, black or white, whatever religion. I do feel it's a gift because I honestly believe everybody's born with the potential that they're a good person. I've been talking with the other people in the group. I remember looking over and I seeing this homeless man. I remember thinking, I do hope this man doesn't take my bicycle. I actually was quite abusive to him. I wasn't very nice. I told him exactly what I thought about him. Just as we were wrapping up the last conversation, the director asked the person that I was speaking to step out and asked the homeless man to step in. I was shocked. I was mortified. I was completely mortified by what he'd just done. Hello.
Hello.
Now, what brings you here today?
Oh, the weather.
The weather?
Yes.
Like, if you hang around in the park, are people nice to you?
Yes. Very, very nice. Very nice.
So people say hello?
Yes, he didn't get hugs. I didn't get a few hugs.
Really? As a group, all morning, we've been discussing Love Thy Neighbor, and yet I just turned on this guy and completely verbally abused him, and here I was now, face to face, having a discussion with him. And how do you feel about civility?
I think it comes more from my heart, but a lot of people think it comes more out your pocket. It doesn't cost a penny to be 1 cent to be polite. The world can be kind of cruel at times, and you get confused and you don't know what to do, so you just start reacting.
So what keeps you good?
I think it's more ways to be good than bad. We just don't exercise the goodness that's instilled in us.
There I'd been earlier saying all these lovely things, and I was a complete and utter hypocrite. From the moment I laid eyes on him, I judged Charles. I did. And he ended up being a completely different individual. He showed no ill will towards me. And he was talking to me as though we were best of friends. Ever since I spent that day with him, I said to myself, I am going to be a much kinder person. I hope people are inspired by the experience that I had in Central Park that day, that you will look at people just a little differently and understand that what one homeless man said in Central Park can honestly change your whole view on humanity.
Life is perfect for none of us. Rather than being judgmental and critical of each other, may we have the pure love of Christ for our fellow travelers in this journey through life. That is something to think about. Right there is the essence of the gospel reading, especially that line that says, love your neighbor as yourself. When you say to yourself, I'm a good person, and then you see someone that might challenge that. Maybe they're of a different color than you are. Maybe they don't have the clothes that you have. Maybe there's something about them that just brings out something in you, maybe the ugly side, that makes you maybe want to lash out. And sometimes we do, as individuals. So the question always is, how do we make this a better world? How do we gain more civility? Whose job is it to get rid of division, to get rid of hatred, and get rid of animosity? Whose job is that? Is it the elected official's job to make sure that that person pulls us together and be kinder and gentler and nicer? No, it's not really his job or her job. To make that their job then allows me to walk away and say, well, they're not doing their job. I'm just going to keep allowing division and hatred to occur. Where does civility rest? It's in that powerful verse 31, the 12th chapter Mark. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's predicated upon loving yourself. And when you do that, then you can love your neighbor. If you don't do that, then you're not going to love your neighbor. How do I bring the love of Christ to the world? How do I get rid of division and hatred and anger in my family? By making sure when I wake up in the morning and I go to the mirror to prepare myself for the day, the person I see looking back at me, that's the person that can change the world, can change my world, can change my little community. Maybe not the whole world that's 27,500 miles in diameter, but the section of the world that I live in, my world. It doesn't start with someone else. It starts with me. It starts with you. We can have discussions with coffee, over the coffee shop, in the restaurant, get all upset and angry that things are in the state that they are. How do we change it? One by one by one, to make sure that I am as kind as I can be, and you are too. That I'm the person that God made me to be, and you are too. It's no one else's job to bring kindness in this world other than me, other than you. hopefully you learn how to love yourself. And then if you love yourself, what is the positive result of that? Then you'll be able to love your neighbor. Then Mark 12:31 will make sense. Love your neighbor as yourself.